All right, everybody, next steps. I have just my square base to my board rolled out to an even thickness. I want to be gentle with it at this point, but I want to show you that it's a pretty even thickness right there, nice and smooth. About 3/8 of an inch. I think mine's a little thicker at this point. But one thing you could do right now is get your initials on the bottom. Just gently, don't carve too deep with the needle tool or even a pencil, all right? And so while we're working on the work in progress, it's nice to have your work on a board. Most ceramic studios have wooden boards or maybe even plaster boards that artists keep their work on. It's an easy way to carry it. I don't have wood boards, so I just made a cardboard covered in plastic so the cardboard doesn't get wet. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay down my square slab. I'm going to flip it over there. I hope you saw that okay. I got my initials on the bottom, and now I can wrap this whole thing in plastic and I can work with it there. I'm going to set it off to the side. Actually, I'm going to bring it here. So I want to show you how to know where to put your border and grid. I created the second template for you. I want you to lay it in the middle, and this, you have to think about any variations that you may be adding to your board. I'm showing you basic straight grid design. So I'm lightly drawing a line that's going to tell me where my border is going to go. I'm going to add a raised border. And I'm also going to sort of carefully mark out, just kind of measuring, sort of using it almost like a ruler, measuring out my tic-tac-toe line. You could probably eyeball this and be, okay. That was a little wavy line, but I'm going to cover it up. I'm going to cover it up with my coil / slab pieces, so no worries. If you know, just go slow. Okay, might help to use this guide as a straight line. That's better. So see, I'm improvising with tools. Okay. Can you see what I'm doing? Yes. All right, so there, I've just drawn out my border and my grid, but I don't want to leave it flat like that. I actually want to add a raised border. I just think it looks really nice. It holds the pieces in place. So I'm adding a raised border to mine. All right, and the way I'm doing that is, remember those scrap pieces of clay that we had left over? Okay. I had kept them in a plastic bag so they wouldn't dry out. So these were my leftover pieces of clay. What I can do is I can just cut a little piece from there. And I basically have a piece that I can use for a border or for the grid line. Now, if you don't like to use this slab piece, you can also just roll a coil if you want it to be a little thinner, and you can just decide how thin or thick you want your grid and border to be. If you want it to be straight or wavy, you know, you're going to decide at this point how you want your tic-tac-toe board to look. So this is rolling a coil, and with coils you try to let it be even. And I use the palm, not my fingers, because the fingers make the coil really bumpy and lumpy. So let's say you're using a coil, not a slab. This is the point where you do score, stick, slip, and smooth. So you get out your slip here, okay? And you can use any kind of tool for scoring. Honestly, you can use a plastic fork to score. But I also have, the tables have these, they look like little rakes, little mini rakes, and they're for scoring. So it's basically scratching, and we do this, it creates traction, and it lets one piece of clay grip onto another piece of clay. So here I'm going to do this coil border. I'm going to cut it to the size that I need. I also want to score this a little bit on one side. Add some slip. Just a little bit. You don't need a lot. The clay is very plastic, so you don't need a lot. Stick it on. Okay, so score, slip, stick, and now the smooth. Score, slip, stick, smooth. I like to use one of these modeling tools or a popsicle stick. The smoothing part is very important. It helps attach the pieces, but it also helps your piece look nice and well crafted. So sometimes I push a little bit of the clay into the clay. Let me check around here. And the whole time you're aiming to refine and make things look like, I know you're not professionals, but professional looking, which just means, you know, some nice craftsmanship. So sometimes I get a sponge wet, and you can also use a sponge to smooth out. You want to make sure you don't have any cracks, any little bits of clay. So I'm just taking a sponge and making sure this looks like it was always together, always joined, and really nice and smooth, okay? Now this piece is not gonna come off because you've attached it properly, okay? You need to score, slip, stick, and smooth. So I'm gonna continue and do that. I won't make you watch me, but it's score, slip, stick, and smooth. And I'm gonna measure out pieces to go in each of these sections. I might have to cut a smaller piece to fit in here, right? It's kind of like puzzling it together. But you want it to be, if you want it to be straight, make it really straight. If you're deciding to make a curvy, wavy line for your tic-tac-toe board, you can do that. But just make it intentional and watch your craftsmanship, nice and smooth and even, okay? So next step, adding the border and grid line.